Welcome
Amazing.
everyone to the meet and greet with Shannon Gillen from Pronto Bottle, which is Birchal's newest EOI campaign on our platform. Today is just really a session just to get to know all the EOIs that have come through so far and to introduce Shannon and her excellent product and just talk a little bit more about crowdfunding and why you're keen to do it. So Shannon, over to you.
Thanks so much for the introduction. For the people sort of know us, because that's why people are obviously here. You've been a part of our contacts, and my cat's just saying hello as well. We've been working on Pronto now for roughly just over 2 years, so going into the 3-year mark. And the idea was quite literally born when I had my daughter, and struggled with the whole breastfeeding situation, and had to move to bottles. And the initial struggles I had around, I used to run out of bottles quite often when I was outside. I used to think I was very, very prepared as a parent, but clearly I wasn't. So then I developed a product. I came up with a design, but I've got a background in entrepreneurship and innovation. So I actually went and I interviewed and I surveyed other parents, and I spoke to 100 other parents and just said, how are you traveling with your baby? And the biggest pain points that came out of that, because I was actually interviewing people that were in cafes and in libraries, so I could actually see what they were doing at the same time as what they were telling me some of their problems were. And the biggest problems came from those that were actually doing the bottle feeding process, and the amount of time they wasted doing that washing preparation process, the inconvenience of it all, because they were having to do it all at home. You couldn't actually safely prepare something while you're actually out. And it was just cumbersome as well. You were carrying all of the stuff with you, massive nappy bags that I used to see. And some parents were carrying like 2 or 3 nappy bags with them. I was like, why are we doing this? Like you literally needed a suitcase. Sometimes it was crazy the amount of stuff that people were carrying around with them. And I guess that's where it basically steamrolled from, right? So we went and developed a product to solve that. And ultimately the concept I had was, is it possible for a parent to carry an empty baby bottle, just one? It doesn't have to have anything in it. And is that possible? And can we make it so that a parent can actually prepare it just about anywhere, right? So all of our research and development has been around trying to be able to do that, to be able to sterilize a bottle and also sterilize water. So if you're formula feeding, you can also prepare a formula fed bottle or baby anywhere. So that's what we've spent specifically the last year. A lot of our research and development has been about developing that product. And that's the pain points we're sort of solving at the moment. Obviously our target demographic is parents, mums and dads. We're looking at a generation now that are very convenience based. It's a swipe left for a date, or a click here for a cab ride, or I don't know if I should start it. Is it left or right?
Well, yeah. I'm not going to give you the insight.
Come on, Claire. So that's what we're dealing with now, and I don't think parenting hasn't evolved as quickly as everything else has. And I think now's the time for us to be basically, we're disrupting the baby bottle and sterilization market, because at the moment they're two separate things. You've got a baby bottle and you've got a baby sterilizer, and these two things haven't come together before. You will see products I actually recommend it. There's a lot of savvy investors and business people here, and I'm sure the first thing you'll do, and I recommend doing this as well, is looking at places like Alibaba and AliExpress. And what you'll find is what you will think is competitor products, right? So there are products in the market that are an external case that you put an empty bottle into, and it sterilizes an empty bottle. The technical issues around this, and obviously why we've spent a year researching this stuff, is that these products don't take into account the materials. So if you put a plastic bottle into a UV sterilizer, the lights are always on the outside. Plastics contain UV stabilizers, which prevent UV light getting to the inside of the bottle. So sure, you're sterilizing the outside, but the inside still remains unsterile. So you still got a chance of actually, having a baby get sick because the internals obviously haven't been sterilized properly. Also glass, if you put a glass bottle into one of those sterilizers, the inside doesn't sterilize because glass doesn't allow UVC light to penetrate through it. So it's the same problem. And none of these products actually allow you to sterilize water within the bottle at the same time as well. So you still have to wash the bottle at home, put a single bottle into this, put pre-boiled or pre-sterilized water into the bottle and then carry that bottle full. So nothing actually still allows you to carry an empty bottle. So that's kind of where we sit, and that's where the competitors' products sit at the moment as well. So we're quite unique in terms of actually having combined those two technologies. Yeah, you can quite literally prepare a bottle on an airplane. You've got a tap on the bottle. It sounds a bit gross, but as long as the water is equal. Yeah, so that's us in a nutshell. So I'd love to get some questions from the crowd if anyone's here and has a few questions about the business as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, and I'll let some people shoot through their questions through the Q&A or the chat if they've got any initial stage questions for you. I've got a few questions up my sleeve. Why equity crowdfunding in terms of raising investment to go to the next phase?
Yeah, sure. Last year we actually went through and we did what is typically a crowdfunding campaign, which is your typical, I'll put in $50 and I get a product back, right? The problem with this is that when parents are buying something like a baby bottle, you always think you can breastfeed until you can't. So you need it on that day or the next day. So start saying to someone, hey, invest in our product, really cool. We'll send it to you at night. The next step for us was to actually then get investment from those within the investor space within Australia, which we did. We're actually backed by one of the largest VC firms in Australia. But the next stage for us now, and while we're doing equity funding now, is that we wanted to open it up to people that knew not only the problem, but had a real vested interest in seeing and solving this for other parents that really loved what we're doing, love what we want to do with the brand, and also love the eco aspect, right? So we're also trying to read parents are going through, well, when you have a baby, like there's a lot of things around it that becomes quite wasteful. But if you're bottle feeding, you've got 6 to 8 bottles that, people don't tend to recycle. They tend to throw just in the bin, or if you're lucky, if you're good, eco something that is one bottle that you purchase, and it can actually last a number of babies. So each time a parent has a child, generally they replace the bottles because they get a bit manky, right? They're plastic. So that's why we wanted to go through this equity crowdfunding, was getting people who loved what we did, were invested in the technology that we were doing and what we wanted to do as well, love what we're doing, involved, basically. Yeah.
Awesome. And look, I mean, it's a little bit different to reward-based crowdfunding, and I'll get from you what's ahead for the next few weeks in a second. But
I found a more succinct way of saying that, shouldn't I?
No, it's good. I mean, and that's the thing. I think it's really letting people know why you're doing it, because it's not just about the investment opportunity and getting a bunch of investors in, but really connecting with a tribe of people that resonate with your brand and want to see the product and the company succeed because they believe in the product as well as the investment opportunity. And for those listening as well, equity crowdfunding is a little bit different to reward-based crowdfunding that you might see on a Kickstarter or Indiegogo site. It is a highly regulated industry, so don't fear as much that it's you potentially were never going to see that money again. Of course, there are risk warnings and offer documents and company constitutions and subscription agreements that will be available to you at the time of the investment. But if anyone is interested to know more information from myself or the Birchal team about the sort of regulations around the kind of capital raising that Shannon's looking to do through us, I'm more than happy to share that information. But Shannon, give us an idea of now what's happening for Pronto Bottle over the next 6 weeks of your campaign. There are 2 campaign stages, and what's the goal for each?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got, so this private group, so this is our select, everybody that was sort of involved so far within either business with us or really close contacts or parents that actually we interviewed during the process of developing our product, right? So those are the contacts that currently are now vested in this little portion of the stage. We go live next Tuesday officially to everyone. So, officially out to the public. And it's our expression of interest phase. So basically in this, you have the opportunity to select that you're interested in what we're doing. That means it signals to us that, we've obviously got a certain amount of people that want to be involved in the actual campaign. we generally ask people if they can help us with sharing out during that stage as well. So sharing through your contacts, your network, anyone that you think would be interested in this type of thing too. And also check out, Birchal has a referral code as well. We'll just check out their website. So if you want to get some kudos back, make sure you share it through your referral code too. And in the next stage from that expression of interest is we then go into what's called the private raise. So anyone who's selected that they're interested in this next portion will actually go into that, have the opportunity to invest then. And then you'll get a little phone call from me as well saying, hey, thank you so much, you're awesome. And why do you want to be involved? And, you know, is there anything that really interested you about what we're doing? And then also after that, we open up to the public. So then again, everyone from the general public will be able to have an opportunity to then invest in us, but we've kind of focusing on this stage now and in that private investment stage. I think, Claire, that there's also some benefits to selecting to invest within that private stage. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think that if you do select to do so, the investment only comes or only gets paid out at the end of the campaign, right? It doesn't get paid out during that time that you actually submit it, right?
Yeah, correct. So during the expression interest phase, which is from basically now over the next 3 weeks, you can make a non-compulsory expression interest to invest in Pronto Bottle, which means that you'll be on that private list when the campaign goes live with the offer document, subscription agreement, constitution. And if you invest within the private period, which may run for a range of days or it might run for up to a week, it means that we as Birchal won't take your payment for that investment until the very end of the whole campaign. So once the private phase is run, and in general, the whole campaign timeline goes for about 3 weeks. So yeah, express interest, because then not only will you have access to that private investment round, but you'll be getting invites to Shannon's webinar, which we're running in a few weeks' time, and be getting, you know, much more sort of updates on the campaign and how it's going and any news that the campaign gets and things like that, which people who are not on the EOI list don't get. So it really gives you an opportunity to get to know this brand over the next 3 or 4 weeks, although I know many people here already do know the brand quite well. And you'll be the first to see the offer terms. So things like minimum and maximum target aren't set at this stage, but that will be revealed in about 3 weeks' time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, no, I think that was basically it. Yeah.
Do we have any initial questions from those who are attending today that just want to know before, you know, the campaign is underway? Any initial questions for Shannon or for myself about equity crowdfunding or what we're looking to achieve? If you are, just chuck a note in the chat or in the Q&A. And if you don't, we've got the webinar in a few weeks' time and we can answer more questions then.
Yeah, definitely. I'll certainly be putting out some more information in terms of what I might do is also show people the pitch deck that I typically pitch when I'm talking to big investors. You know, we were talking sophisticated investors, so that will include a lot more detail in terms of, you know, what we're talking about the market, you know, the size of the market, why or what milestones we've achieved so far as well from our initial concept to where we are today, and then also talking about where we're going to spend the funds. You know, ideally we do this because we want to raise funds to get to a certain stage, and that includes, you know, getting to manufacturing and launching. I think somebody has actually just popped up a question, and I saw it pop up very quickly though. Let me just check the chat because that has popped up. Thanks. Oh, thank you so much, Mark. Yeah, have you considered Kickstarter is what Mark actually asked. And yes, so we did consider Kickstarter. The campaign I was talking about, we did last year was through Indiegogo, which is the same thing as Kickstarter. And the issue that we had with that, like I mentioned before, was that we were doing a cash for product campaign. And that meant that ideally parents that needed to bottle feed. And the problem with that is that when parents are pregnant and about to have a baby, you generally think that you can breastfeed until you can't. It's quite rare that you think ahead of time that you want to just go through the bottle feeding process. So for us to say to them, hey, we're raising the funds now to get into that manufacturing stage and we'll send it out to you in 9 months, really wasn't something that was gonna work for us. So, but it is a great platform for those that don't have it. It's quite a unique requirement, right? If you want a set of headphones, you're happy to wait 9 months for it. But when it comes to a specific baby product like this, so yeah, thanks, Mark. It was an awesome question. Yeah. but yeah, flick any others through if you have them. Yeah. But if you don't answer any questions now, don't stress. I will be answering more through the platform as well. You can actually select the message button on our profile on Birchal, and that allows us to have a direct conversation with you through that platform. But also then I can actually put the questions that you put up there to others, because I'm sure the question you have is probably similar to somebody else that will be there as well. So yeah.
And Shannon, just sort of wrap up, I know you'll be talking about this more in the offer document and throughout the campaign, but now raising the funds through this equity crowdfunding campaign, what is your vision for Pronto Bottle for the next 6 to 12 months and your roadmap? What are you hoping this raise will achieve apart from simply raising the money?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, of course. The funds for this now that we're hoping to raise will go towards actually doing the final parts of our product prototype. So we're now through the next iteration, the last iteration of our product, and then it'll be lab tested. So we've actually got to put this through lab testing to make sure, I mean, we know in the design studio that it works, but we obviously need to put it through a lab to prove that it works, so it's safe for customers as well. And then further user testing, so another lot of user testing, and then going into tooling and manufacturing, which is the exciting part. So, going into that next stage, QMS, there's a lot of involvement around QMS. It's quite an expensive process. And yeah, actually building our distribution out to retailers and online as well. I think it's probably something I didn't mention is, this is obviously aimed at different channels. So through, pharmacies, boutique baby stores, large chain retailers, as well as online, and that's within Australia. And we're also looking at other regions as well outside of Australia as a part of this launch.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's the next few stages. Thanks, Kat.
That's a pleasure. I think this was such a nice little, fast and furious introduction to Pronto Bottle and to your campaign, and meeting your wonderful cat as well.
Yeah. Every time.
Thank you so much to everyone who came to today's really quick power session to learn more about Shannon and the Pronto Bottle product, although most of you here already know about it. I can only echo what Shannon said. Please head to the Birchal Pronto Bottle profile page, which you'll have the URL to. And if there's anyone in your network that you'd like to share the campaign with, all you have to do is hit the invite button. That will give you a unique code to share the campaign with family, friends, colleagues, networks, whatever. And people that you share your unique code with, if they do go on to invest in Pronto Bottle in a few weeks' time, then you'll actually get 30% of Birchal's fees that we charge with the campaign. So a bit of an incentive there, but also you're probably sharing it because you just think it's a great product and brand. So after this webinar, I'll put my details in, my email, Shannon's email, so you can talk to us at any time, but we look forward to really getting this thing started in full swing next week.
Fantastic. Thanks so much again.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye.
You too. Bye.